Howdy ho, you handsome hunk. Grab a snack and gain some chunk. If your day is great or really sunk, we hope to help you shake the funk. So if you're good to hear some junk, buckle up, it's the Junk Monk Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Junk Monk Podcast. I'm your host, Kandyce Sloan, who you know from Instagram at Hardens and Hardhats.
And I'm Noah, your co-host, who made this podcast by himself.
If this is your first time listening, let us fill you in. We are watching and reviewing every episode of the USA hit TV show Monk right here each week.
We're going to do so while eating a little bit of junk. So I've got my junk food here, this is a pretty controversial piece of snackage.
Controversial? Why?
Because I know many people who love, or hate to death this thing.
Okay, that's actually true. It's
right?
Like a moon pie or an oatmeal pie.
Oatmeal
cream
pie.
Yeah.
Oatmeal cream pie. I love them. The controversial thing about them is that you either love them or you hate them.
Yeah. I like one bite of them and then no more. Like I need a drink of water. Like it's something that I would have to have water with.
Something else that I did not know existed was cucumber Gatorade.
What?
And it smells like cucumber, it tastes like cucumber because they probably, use cucumber, but
a lime cucumber? That's even weirder.
It's for the World Cup, I think. Or no, the Champions League.
Oh, lemon pepino.
Lemon pepino.
That's what it says.
It does.
And I have some butter toffee pecans. You know me and my Gilbert pecans.
The saga.
They're pretty good. I'll get into those later. Also, you must know I've seen every episode of Monk. I'm a huge fan. Started watching in 2007, and for the most part, watched it as it aired.
I've seen season 1 and those we done on the show, and a few scattered here and there in different seasons.
So, if you're ready to start the show, Toby, take it away.
Here's what happened.
Okay, so this is Mr. Monk and the Naked Man, Season 6, Episode 3. Here's what happened. In the opening scene, we see a woman named Vicky on the beach outside of software billionaire Peter McNeary's mansion. She has an envelope and insists he let her in. It's a matter of life or death. With no luck, she turns to see a masked assailant approaching her. She tries to run with no avail and is stabbed to death on the beach. Next, we see Monk beginning his investigation. Vicky was killed, of all places, on a nude beach. Monk discovers this upon meeting his first suspect, Chance Singer, a nudist who lived in a trailer right next to the scene, who quickly points the finger at tycoon Peter McNeary. With Monk's severe aversion to nudity taking over, he can't give up that Singer is in fact the killer. Especially after he talks to Vicky's roommate, Arlene Boris, a former X-ray tech, who says Vicky has been seeing someone. After no evidence of Singer's guilt is found, Monk must have a psychological breakthrough to get rid of his killer nudist theory. He succeeds with the help of Dr. Kroger, and when he goes to tell Natalie the good news, he solves the case. Arlene Boris had recently quit her X-ray job to pursue day trading, all betting against McNary's company. It turns out that McNary was a heart attack waiting to happen, and Arlene knew it based on his recent X-ray. She had switched his results, giving him a clean bill of health, and was counting on his death to plummet McNary's stocks, making her a small fortune. Vicky found out and was murdered because of it. Arlene is arrested, and Peter McNary is saved from his ticking time bomb. All right, so that was Mr. Monk and the Naked Man.
So what did you like about this episode, Kandyce?
Okay, a few things. So we have Monk's, aversion to nudity, of course. Mm-hmm. The first thing I actually wrote down, though, was whenever he's breaking into Singer's trailer, right? That's just parked right there on the beach.
Okay.
And Natalie's like, Mr. Monk, don't we have to have a warrant? Like, aren't there rules? And he's like, there's no rules. This is just anarchy here. It's nudie town. So that's the first nude joke that I wrote down.
Okay, and so once they get into that trailer, he's coming in. And they're like, holy crap, we have to hide somewhere. And he's like, let's hide in the closet. And Natalie's like, no, the closet's full of clothes. And then they open it, and I was like, oh, no clothes. And so they run inside.
That is funny.
But he doesn't own any clothes at all.
Oh, okay, hang on, plot holes. Hang on.
You could just walk into a grocery store, like...
Okay, okay, plot holes, hang on. Okay, mine is actually before that moment of the, no clothes. It's when they're snooping around and Monk opens a refrigerator and he's like, look at this. Skinless chicken, seedless grapes. You see how it's all coming together? Natalie's like, what are you talking about? He's like, sugar in the raw. I just love that. Just pointing out these random items in the kitchen. It's so funny. I love it.
In the very, first scene where everyone knows Monk is going to freak out and just leave if he knows that it's a nude beach, everyone's just trying to block everything nude-related from Monk.
Stottlemeyer's like, oh, look, there's a sand dollar. Oh, no, that was just a shell. Oh, okay, all right. And he has his jacket, and he's, walking him over, and he goes next to Natalie, and Monk is like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I just, miss my old pal Natalie. And they're like, yeah. And then it cuts to Randy, who's standing in front of the nude beach sign, and he's got his elbows behind his head, and he's stretching, and the dead body is on the ground, and Monk is looking at the evidence, and he picks up the woman's hand, and he notices this big paper cut, right? This is from the envelope, and I guess because, she steals it out of her hand, so she gets a paper cut, and Monk says, oh, look, there's a paper cut. And Randy's blocking the sign in his, position. And he's like, ooh, paper cuts. Those hurt like the Dickens. It's so funny. And then Natalie's like, what about all these stab wounds? And Randy's like, yeah, those probably hurt too. Oh, man. That was so good.
Monk is completely biased against Naked Dude in this episode. And Stottlemeyer kicks him off the case for it. So good for little Studi boy for not being biased against the naked man.
Yeah, that was a good scene whenever he was, saying I have this badge and it's my job to protect everyone no matter, who they are. And that Stottlemeyer is just really aware of okay, but even if he says it's not a phobia, which I think it is, but it's not one of your little phobias. It's more than that, and you need to be the detective and figure out what's wrong or whatever. So I like that he pushes him into that direction. Yeah. That was cool. Okay, so the nudists, right? They have to go to City Hall to fight for their case or whatever. And the naked man was like, "All right, guys. The only thing is, we got to go textile." I love that. It was so cute. And then the few scenes later, you see them all, and they're all dressed in these really old-looking clothes, they're from the 70s, because it's that's the last time they wore clothes or something. I don't really get that, but it's really funny. And they're all just standing there stiff as a board. They're like, oh gosh, these clothes are so uncomfortable. And this little guy's like, are you chafing? I'm chafing.
That'd be weird, not wearing clothes for such a long time and then putting them on. Even just a year. But, I mean, once again, they have to wear clothes sometimes, right?
We're going to get into it, I know.
I don't really get that. Monk remembers his entire birth.
Gosh, and they have the longest setup.
It's so dumb.
I have to tell you about this tragic incident. It's okay, Dr. Croker's just being so understanding, and then finally he's like, Adrian, that man was a doctor. You're remembering your own birth. And Monk is like, oh, wait, that makes sense now, because everything was upside down, and I just remember my dad standing there with a balloon. I love that. I don't know. That to me, that summed up. It brought it back to okay, yeah, that's funny, because he's like, my dad, he had a balloon, and he was just standing there. And to piggyback off of that, Monk actually has a genuine breakthrough. Mm-hmm. How many times have we seen that? Where he actually gets over a phobia.
Yeah.
Even in the garbage strike, he didn't get over the phobia. He went to the fabrication room and clears his mind, and then he's able to figure it out while he's in there. Mm-hmm. But this is completely different. He actually has a deep-seated issue, goes to therapy, and we see him get fixed.
Yeah.
I feel like that's pretty unique. Next I have the nudist saves the day. He's actually a really nice guy. Yeah.
He gives up
his beach for the guy so that he has his privacy and doesn't bother his heart. And he was nice before that too. There was really no reason for Monk to be that way. The only time he ever really had any attitude was when he first gets out of his Jeep and Monk asks him to put on a shirt. And he kind of is like, oh, you people, you're always asking me to put on clothes and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well. But other than that, he was actually a pretty nice guy. So,
yeah. Sorry to all our nudists, I was going to say watching, but listening.
We're just glad we're not watching you. Oh, that's
exactly
that
my
sounds
case.
so offensive, especially if you're nudist. But we're not. Just to be clear,
we're
not doing
you.
this podcast naked. Just
yeah,
so
we don't. Dang, they wouldn't even know.
Yeah, that
makes you think about the podcasts I listen to.
They're all naked. Well,
every song
could have been recorded naked.
Exactly. Every time you're calling someone, hello, I'm naked.
But see, if you're a nudist, you don't even have to worry about that. You just know they're naked.
Exactly.
So there's no mystery.
Yeah, sorry to all our nudists out there. You make me uncomfortable, at least.
Okay, so my last thing actually is, it's actually kind of sweet and funny, but Natalie promised that she won't visit a nudist beach until 5 years after Monk is dead.
I don't like how she was a nudist to begin with.
Okay, well let's go ahead. Actually, wait, before we get to dislikes, let's talk about someone who did like this episode.
Okay.
So this week's viewer's voice is from Luke Seacrest.
Okay, Luke Seacrest says, I really thought this episode was great. It's funny how Monk says it's a cabal meaning, the nudist people, LOL. It's also awesome that Monk can remember his birth, which is very cool. Even though Monk thought the naked man was despicable, he helped save his life in the end, which is very ironic. Plus, Randy's MP3 player was a funny, good touch, and I loved it when the captain just killed it under his foot. Natalie being a nudist was very interesting, but Monk really didn't care, and it's so funny that it got put in there. When Monk gets hugged by the naked man, he just goes straight into the ocean to be clean, I hope. He might just be done with life, LOL.
All right, so nice viewer's voice. Thanks, Luke, for chiming in. He always gives the best descriptive things. So yeah, don't forget to submit your viewer's voice for upcoming episodes. And now let's get into dislikes. So, Noah, what did you dislike about this episode?
They could have just blurred out everything. I don't like the whole cheesy, there's a surfboard, right there, and then there's, crates that I'm holding, and, just everyone's blocking the junk.
Okay, I will say that, but... Oh, gosh, the junk.
The junk.
Oh, no. Why'd you have to say that?
Oh, no.
Anyways,
I don't like it.
Anyways, so I personally don't mind some tricky camera work to block things out. I don't like when they blur things out. To me, that takes me out of the show. Where sometimes
but it doesn't take you out if everyone just happens to be walking like that. I don't know.
But they point the camera purposely so that you can't see them, but you still get to see what is going on. Whereas if you blur something out and you make it pixelated, I agree that it's, kind of cheesy to have scenes like that, but definitely not blur them out. To me, that just takes you out of the whole episode. I don't like that. But
why is this an episode to begin with? This episode is just stinky. It was a stinky little episode, and I did not like it. And I don't know. I was uncomfortable. So I made a picture. This episode is stinky.
It's stinky. Okay, so...
Go on. I'm angry.
But let's go off that. Natalie was in the cabal.
She was.
She's like...
I don't want to say it. She wasn't... Natalie, how dare... I can't. I've been betrayed.
And also, she says, Mr. Monk, I was one of them. I was a nudist. I went to Greece, and then I went back 4 years later, so I guess technically I still am one. It's but if you visit a nudist beach and you're nude once, that does not make you a nudist. Uh-huh. You visited a nude beach.
Oh, yeah.
That's like saying, I went surfing one time, so now I'm a surfer. And I went back 4 years later, so technically I guess I'm a surfer. You're not a nudist, so... But... Yeah. That I thought that because Natalie v. Sharona, that was Sharona vibes.
That was very Sharona See, this is what I don't like. What is Natalie's character? She's a bartender. She's a nudist. She's rich. I don't know what that was, but
Yeah, because exactly right. We talked about her being a bartender. That was her origin story. So it's like, yeah, she has a different past, but then as it progresses, you think that they won't have storylines like that. Because even like, so let's see, the red herring was season 3, episode 10. Mm-hmm. Then they go to Vegas in season 3, episode like 15, 14, where she says, oh yeah, I used to be a blackjack dealer and had a gambling problem.
What?
Yeah. So
what the heck?
You've seen it before, but I'm sure you forgot. It was like a one-liner. It was like a one-liner because well, actually, no, because the whole episode was kind of like she's trying to convince Randy not to gamble all his money away. Because she's like, I used to be a blackjack dealer. That's one of the reasons I had to leave Vegas, because I had a gambling problem. So it's like, okay, but still in season 3, we were still getting to know Natalie. Now we're way past getting to know Natalie.
They can't just throw that kind of stuff at us.
Yet she still has like, oh, I used to be a nudist. Like, I mean, I get it, but it wasn't, to me, that was not necessary to the episode whatsoever.
She didn't have to, yeah.
It wasn't. I guess it was just to show that Monk was over it, which that was a funny scene.
Yeah.
When she's going to tell him and he's like, yeah, yeah, I don't care. Where usually he'd be like, oh. Yeah. So, I guess that's what they were going for.
I don't like it. And I also have stuff in plot holes about it, like... Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, so this again, I know I already mentioned the garbage strike, but this was very garbage strike to me. Monk is completely unhinged, and he's totally off his game. Something has to happen for him to get a clear mind.
Yeah.
And, they're looking at him like, I've never seen you like this. What is wrong with you? And I know we have other times where Monk, like...
is off his game?
Not off his game, but has like things where he's like snooping where he shouldn't be snooping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But one episode in particular popped into mind whenever him and Kevin go to, Los Angeles, and they're breaking into that guy's house. And Monk is like, you can't break into someone's house. That's illegal. Like, you can't get evidence like that. And Kevin's like, well, we can lean. The Constitution doesn't say anything about leaning. And he's like, what Constitution are you reading? And so they lean into his apartment, right? So that's just something that stands out in my mind where it's like, yeah, Monk does toe the line, but he doesn't he doesn't want to break the law for a case. This one, he literally says, there's no rules here. It's nudie.
It's nudie Joe.
And so I'm like, well, again, while it's funny, it's like he breaks into this guy's house. Like, what if he had found something? It would be completely inadmissible. He couldn't do anything with it because he's so frazzled that he's a garbage strike all over again. He lied about that case because he didn't care. And this time he's breaking the rules so that he can convict someone who's innocent?
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty deep.
That is crazy, crazy Monk.
And then my last thing is... The crime was kind of violent, for one. Like, she stabs that girl.
Oh, yeah.
She tackles her.
Oh, we were talking about the other one. Oh, the one where he jumps out of the plane. And you just see him fall. And he splats.
Yes.
You don't see him splat.
Noah watched Mr. Monk goes to Mexico.
Yeah. And that reminded me of this one where it was like, they could have just cut there. Like, with the knife up and then, like, falling down.
Yeah,
and
instead she was like...
it was like...
Which we'll get to later, but, the person who that's supposed to be, it's kind of crazy to think that was her doing that. I bet they used a stunt double.
Yeah.
I would assume that they used a stunt double, but, yeah. Still.
Which, in the next episode that we watched, it was so obviously her. But I don't want to talk about it. There's so much stuff that we're like, oh, later.
Yeah, later.
Okay.
We better get to all this later.
I know.
We're like, all right, guys, let's wrap it up. You just kept saying later the whole episode. On next week's episode, we talk about Mr. Monk and the Naked Man.
Due to unfortunate circumstances, we are stopping the podcast.
Okay, well, I have a lot for the next segment, so you want to get to it?
Oh, geez. I have 4 more dislikes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I thought you were done. Go for it.
So I have I'm 13, frowny face. I guess it's made for older people, but, like, how is this able to air? The whole thing is around naked people, like, the whole concept. I don't get it, right?
Okay, I will say it's cable TV.
That's
so
true.
technically they can show... I want to say technically they can show whatever they want to, but the network still has to kind of sort of agree to it, right? But they have different rules than standard broadcasting.
Yeah.
So that's why they could show the guy's butt and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I also wrote, my eyes, please, no. I also said, I feel for Monk. And then my last thing I wrote while I was angry, there's thousands of things to do in the Monkverse. Why nudity?
I personally don't like nudity as well. I think I've talked about it before. I don't remember what context it was in, but because I remember Keiko Agena from the Drunk Monk, she was like that. Like, I don't like nudity. It's super awkward to me. I don't like it. I think it might have been during the Playboy episode, which I didn't mind that. But I also love that for Sharona reasons, not for Playboy reasons. But yeah, so anyhow, I don't like them showing the guy's butt either. I think it's super awkward, and I'm just like,
I was like, ugh, they're just gonna like. I mean, I was like complaining about them like being weird with like all the you know, with their little tricks,
where they're covering it up.
And then with them covering it up and doing their little stupid tricks, and then they show it. I'm like, because I
need
like,
the Jeep door. Please
I was
give
like
me the
sleepy,
Jeep door.
and I was like, oh my gosh.
But
it was a jump scare for sure. That's all I have.
Okay, yeah, I'm done now.
He's the guy. Can I go first?
You absolutely can go first.
I have two. These two are pretty obvious.
Okay, here. So I have one, and I feel like you're going to have the other two that I have on my list. So how about you go, I go, you go.
Okay.
Because I think I know who you know.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Nudist, who is actually the dad from American Housewife, which I love that show. It's really good.
Okay, I actually don't know what that show is. But
Really?
yeah, American Housewife. Is it a cartoon?
No. It's on ABC. American Housewife.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Oh, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It revolves around
The mom?
The
Or
housewife.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, it's just...
Okay.
It's about the wacky hijinks that ensue in the American household.
Okay, so that guy's name, the naked man, right?
Uh-huh.
His name is Diedrich Bader.
Did not know that.
Okay, and obviously he plays Chance Singer, the Nudist. Mm-hmm. So he is known for Office Space. Napoleon Dynamite he's known for a lot. He plays the Taekwondo, like Rex Wando guy. So people probably remember him from that. I personally know him from when I was growing up on the Drew Carey show.
He's pretty famous, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, we always say, oh, he's pretty famous.
I know,
but
we always do.
we always say that. He's so famous. But I know, I mean, in like this was like the mid 90s to like early 2000s, I think he was on the Drew Carey show. And Drew Carey was very popular because he had his own sitcom called The Drew Carey Show. He also had Whose Line Is It Anyway? And so those two kind of coincided in my childhood. I watched both of those like religiously. So he is, so he was on the Drew Carey Show, right? With Ryan Stiles, who is an improv actor from Whose Line Is It Anyway? So again, kind of crossing over. Drew Carey Show also has Craig Ferguson, right? Which is the host that was on before James Corden.
Okay.
That's whose like slot he took over. And then everyone knows from the Drew Carey Show, Mimi. So I know it's about, Diedrich, but that's just, to me, that's like, oh my gosh, the Drew Carey Show, so famous. And I want to say it was on for 5 or 6 seasons. Diedrich is on like 230 something episodes or something crazy like that. So yeah, that's Diedrich Bader.
Okay, and then this last one, obvious. Angela from The Office. What's her name? Her name's Angela in real... No, it's...
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah.
Angela Kinsey.
I always forget that.
From The Office Ladies.
It's so confusing.
Check out The Office Ladies if you love it, because it's good.
It's so confusing with all the Office, people, because it's like, oh, this person's... That's the real name. That person? Definitely not.
Yes.
It's very like Angela, has a real name, and it's like John Krasinski.
Oscar does. Creed Bratton is Creed Bratton. Yep. It does get confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Angela Kinsey. Like I said, Office Ladies, of course. She played Arlene Boris in this episode. And So remember a while back whenever I said that Jenna Fisher pointed out, hey, Scott Adsit was on Monk, okay? Well, actually, I left part of the story out because...
no, she said that she was in Monk
She said she was in Monk. So if you want to go check it out, it's Office Ladies Podcast. It's episode 27 called Conflict Resolution, and it starts at 6 minutes, 11 seconds, so a little timestamp for you.
Did you research?
Well, they love to do timestamps on their podcast, so. So 6 minutes, 11 seconds, she starts talking about her time on Monk, and it's very short. She basically just says it was so much fun, and she remembers, like, in between takes, her and Tony were outside, I guess sitting next to each other between takes, and Tony threw something away in the garbage. Like, he threw it, and it made this weird, like, boing sound. Mm-hmm. And they both just, like, giggled because they both knew that it made such a weird sound. And then so they both just started making funny noises, like, boing, boing, for, like, the trash can. And so that was, like, one of her memories of just a cute, funny, like, oh, Tony was great and stuff like that. So...
What?
So
that was wild.
Yeah, so I thought that was really fun. When I heard that, I was like, oh, Mom, she's talking about us. Like, I'm sure, but
she's talking about us.
She's talking about us.
It's also, did you hear about Kevin? Not Kevin.
Brian Baumgartner.
Mr. Chili Man.
Kevin Malone.
He's starting his own podcast about The Office.
Yeah.
But just why?
Well, okay, so... Let's clear that up because a lot of people are like really competing. I think it's so Angela and Jenna are doing a complete Office rewatch. Kevin's is about like the origins of the Office, and I think his is it's a series. So there's only like 12 or 13 episodes, I think. So it's not a running thing, but he interviews like the directors and the writers and some of the actors. And so, you know, they're explaining like why people love The Office so much and how it got started and all these things. So it's completely different where Angela and Jen are doing like what we're doing and they're dissecting each episode.
But he's like interviewing.
Brian's is completely different, yeah.
Dang. So interviewing would be cool. That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Interview some big people.
Yeah. So if you could help us make that happen,
come on, guys. Golly.
Okay, my last person for He's the Guy is Alfred Molina. Okay, so he plays Peter McNary. Okay. I only know him from one thing. I'm sure I didn't even look it up. Sorry if he's in other stuff, but I'm sure he's a very famous actor. He was on Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire version. He plays Doc Ock. Like Dr. Octopus.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah, except for whenever he's on Monk, I'm like, wait,
he doesn't look the same.
He's not British. And so I looked up the Spider-Man clip, and no, he was not speaking in a British accent. He was speaking an American accent, and so I was like, I literally did not know that Alfred Molina was British. So yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Also, another fun fact, so the actors that were going to play Monk possibly, Tony Shalhoub, Stanley Tucci from The Actor, and Alfred Molina. Those were the final 3 actors.
That dude? Mm-hmm. That's crazy that they had all 3.
Yeah.
Weird.
But
That's
can you imagine?
That's a cool
can you
fact.
imagine that guy being Monk? He's British.
I don't like it.
There's no way. And he's a super jerk on this one too.
Yeah.
Super jerk.
He is.
That's crazy though, right?
That is crazy. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I like that he's the guy. That was fun. That was good. Junk time.
Welcome back to Tunk Jime, everyone. My favorite time and yours on the show where me and Kandyce get an ER junk and Kandyce asked me questions.
That's probably really loud.
Yeah, it probably was.
Okay, you're really hard.
Me and Kandyce get an ER junk and Kandyce asked me questions. I was gonna eat out of there.
Oh, sorry.
I wanted to try one. Kandyce took half a bite of peanut and then put it back in. That's not a peanut. What is this?
Pecan. They're hard though.
Ow.
It's really sweet, so you have to get into it to get the salty pecan part.
I'm like dying.
At least you have a Gatorade.
No, this is terrible, Kandyce. This is really bad.
The cucumber lemon is?
It's
bad?
Terrible flavor. Worst flavor.
Well, it's lemon.
Every time I drink a Gatorade, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the best flavor. This is terrible.
Oh no. All right.
Ask me some questions, crazy lady.
My first one is, did you ever own an iPod?
No.
I don't think so, right? Because you just got your first cell phone, which doesn't mean you couldn't have an iPod, but
I mean,
or like any type of
like a hand-me-down
MP3 player. Of course, we're talking about Randy, which we didn't talk about that at all, did we?
No MP3 players for me. I don't get that joke. I don't get it. What? He just had an MP3 player and then I didn't get it.
Well, because Peter McNary was like the Steve Jobs in the episode where he owns Apple. So Randy's thing is broken and it's his company. So he's like, hey, could you help me fix this? And he's like, call customer support. And he's like, yeah, I did that. See, but the wait time's like crazy. So I thought I might just ask you about it. And so he keeps pulling it out in front of the McNary guy. So that's the joke or whatever. And then Stottlemyre crushes it in the end. Oh, yeah, we totally didn't talk about that. I totally, missed that part where Randy says... I
didn't like it.
When Randy said... I did like the part, though, at the beginning where he has it in his holster. He's like,
that
where's your gun? And he's like, what? It's in my back pocket or something. I'm like, what? It's in your back pocket? He's like, why? It's like, well, I use my gun, once a year. He uses this bad boy all the time.
Which, I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But yeah, so I think I've talked about my iPod before. My first one was the pink Nano, and so I had like a black and white screen, but it was real pretty. I got it for my birthday. I was super excited. I felt so grown up. But then my other one, right, was the huge video iPod. It had 256 gigabytes or something crazy with the, it was like white and silver. And then that was the one that I had the Panic Room episode on and the Leper episode that I watched on there. So, okay. So my next question is, what do you think the best thing about being a nudist would be?
Free of judgment. Free of social standards. Because, people can't live their lives anymore. You're always, like, oh, I like this person, as a music artist or whatever. You're like, oh, that's basic, right? People don't care about that when you're a nudist. You're just, in your own little world. There's no...
Like, if someone's not judging you for being naked, what are they judging you for or something?
Exactly.
Or whatever.
I mean, there's probably some mean nudists out there.
They're all nice. Like, wait a second. Why aren't we all naked? That's how we cure everything.
But also, when winter's coming, what do? You just sit inside all day?
Oh, yeah, that's my other question. What's the worst thing about being a nudist?
The winter.
Which, again, the summer would be better, obviously, because you have less clothes, but I can't even stand when my thighs touch the seat, the hot seat, and it sticks, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Oh, no. I don't even think about that.
Yeah, I think that's how I messed up my seats from putting water on them, because they were, rubbing ice on them so that I could sit down and drive. Yeah. It's so hot.
Oh my...
That would probably be the worst, because your entire body would burn to a crisp.
Yeah, but the best thing about it would be the mindset. Not what benefits do you get from not wearing clothes?
Just, you don't have to choose what you wear.
Exactly.
But also, choosing outfits, so that's hard. There should be
something that's like nudism, but with clothes. A little society of people who just don't care. I guess that's just the hippie.
A colony of lepers.
That's not what I meant.
Well, they're not judging each other because they all have leprosy.
Okay, that was a bad idea. Never mind.
Oh. Okay, so actually, interestingly enough, this episode had bonus features on the DVD.
What?
Yeah. So it was just about a 5-minute clip of the two writers of the show, Tom Gamble and Max Pross. I want to hear what your thoughts are on this. So this is season 6, right? So these two writers, they had never written on Monk before. Mm-hmm. And they wrote this entire episode.
Makes sense why it wasn't the best.
Well, it makes sense why it was naked people.
Yeah.
Right? To me.
Very outside of the Monk safety zone.
Yeah, it was like they wanted something different. That would... Oh, you know what, though? It actually wasn't their idea. It was Andy Breckman's idea. Oh. He gave it to them, and then they wrote it.
Andy
So the
Breckman.
idea wasn't even theirs.
I mean,
So they wrote it, but so originally they were just gonna put the birth scene as a joke, like an offhanded joke, like, oh, I remembered my own birth, but they extended it because they wanted Monk to have a deep-rooted issue that he could fix, and I thought, to me, again, that was signature of two people who had never written on Monk, because when have we ever seen Monk have a breakthrough?
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting that two new people would come in and write and be like, oh yeah, he fixes his phobia.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's like they didn't get the memo that, wait a second, Monk doesn't fix phobias. Like, this thing can't end with him being okay with naked people.
Exactly.
But they're like, oh yeah, he has a bunch more. He just gets over it. Like, isn't that crazy?
Like, they've only seen, like, 2 episodes.
That's kind of what it seemed like. Or, you know? So, and then the last thing was they talked about a few jokes that they had cut. Like Monk strolling through the park and looking at naked statues or something. And there was like a little girl in the park that has a naked Barbie and he freaks out. And then they also said that they had written a lot more for the scene where they're inside the trailer, all the nudists, and they're all bending over to pick up the pen. Oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, it's over here. Oh, nope, it's over here. And Monk's being tortured. They said that they had extended scenes where they were talking about, like, problems on the beach. They're like, all right, guys, there's this beehive. We, like, really need to get rid of this beehive. You know, for obvious reasons, right? Because you don't want to get stung all over your bare naked body. And then the last one I thought was funny. They were talking about having a bake-off, and they were kind of disputing, like, well, so can we wear pot holders? Like, does that constitute as clothes and stuff? So I thought
also, like, what constitute as clothes? Like, do people wear scarves? Do nudists wear scarves in the winter? Like, oh, I'm a chilly boy. Or, like, do you wear shoes? Like, you're not just going to walk on a gravel road with no shoes on.
Oh, the guy does have shoes, remember? He gets out of the Jeep. He's wearing sandals.
Oh,
he's
sandals.
Wearing sandals.
That's a compromise.
Yeah. All right, I feel like we're ready to get into some plot holes. Some nudie plot holes.
This is, remember earlier when we were like, oh, later. This is later. Plot holes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I just burped mid saying, are you ready? The stupid cucumber lime. I hate you, cucumber lime. I do not want to be your friend. Okay. Would you like to start us off, Kandyce?
Okay, are we going naked first, or are we going other things? Do I even have any other things? I have one other thing, and I think the rest is all actually nudity based. Okay, so Randy just throws a $200 iPod away in the garbage. That's what he does when he first gets that one where it's broken. He throws it in the trash, and you're like, okay, I guess if it's broken, but I don't know.
When you keep on trying to fix it.
Yeah.
I guess he's been trying to fix it all day.
And then he goes and buys a new one.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And then there's that one away. I was like,
Randy's rich.
Right?
That's what we take away.
Exactly. So that's part of my plot hole. Like, well, yeah, if he's super rich, then it's no big deal to throw away your iPod and buy a new one. But if you're not, then what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
In the beginning, when she is like, beep, 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 it's a matter of life and death, beep, 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 like trying to get into the rich guy's house. Get in your car, and if he's not answering, just get back in your car.
That's where she was going.
No, she was like sitting there for like 20 seconds. Beep, 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 beep. Hello? Beep, 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 beep. Like, it was super annoying. She could have been like, beep, hello, is anyone there? No? Okay, let me get back in my car.
But it was a matter of life or death. So how would she had to be persistent.
What was even in that envelope again?
It was his x-ray.
Oh, yeah.
She had proof of his x-ray.
She was going to buy the stocks and stuff, and she was going to take out the... I wasn't listening during the Here's What Happened. I'm sorry. And I'm barely watching the show.
Yeah, because I think Peter McNary's house was beachfront. So I think she had to walk in the sand to walk up to this thing. So I don't think her car could have been anywhere
No, the car was next door. Or there was a car there.
It was?
There was a car there. Because that was the garage. That was like the gate. So you'd have to, like, drive your car up.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Die.
So then where was she running to? Where she was running on the beach. Wasn't she?
She was running for help.
Stabbed on the beach?
She was running for help. She was stabbed next to the dude's van.
Oh. So she ran from the street, like where the guy's house was, and she ran to Singer's house, his trailer, on the beach.
Was like,
and banged on the door.
Big, help, big, help, big, for like 2 minutes. While the dude caught up, or Angela Kinsley caught up and stabbed her like 80 times. And I'm just like, help, and then run around and help again. And if they don't come the second time, just bolt somewhere else, like literally anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
You're telling me there's no one on that street?
All right.
Straight to the Z.
I've been debunked on your regular plot hole.
Exactly.
Okay, nudie stuff. All right, first, bending over incessantly like that? Do we do that? Okay, so, again, we're not nudists. We're not in the mindset of, like, act as you would normally act. But it's like everyone's just okay with, bending over in my face.
Yeah.
Oh, I touched your butt with my butt. Like, what the heck are we doing here?
Yeah, nudists don't do that. They could so see Monk during the entire... we're bending down to find the pen. They could totally see Monk through the shades.
Those shades were huge.
Because we had to see, because obviously, it's a TV show, we had to see the main character. We had to be able to see through the shade things. So they obviously could have, and they're bending down at different angles, meaning they can get the correct angle.
Yeah.
To look inside.
And they're looking for a pen. Like, they're looking for something, and they don't see someone in the closet. And then Monk puts his own pen underneath the door. And they're like, here it is. I'm like, yeah, that's not the same pen.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Plot hole.
There's
a plot hole within a plot hole. Okay, nothing to wear?
Yeah.
Like, I have nothing to wear.
He owns no clothes.
No clothes. How do these people... This is not 2020. This is 2008. And
even if it was 2020, what?
Well, but I'm saying, like, they're on a nudist beach. They're not in a nudist colony. So how, like,
how do they get their food?
Exactly. Like, that would be implying that, like, okay, I'm always naked. I go from my car or my house into my car naked. Then I drive to the beach. And those are the only places that I go. Because you can't just walk around naked in any store.
Yeah, it's illegal.
Grocery store, restaurant, anything. So how would you have nothing to wear? That has to be a giant plot hole.
You have to wear something.
Unless they are driving from a nudist colony. Like, they live in some type of nudist community, and that's where they go to the beach at.
But that's like his house thing. He just lives in that, like, old...
Well, that's his house, but maybe those people live
Yeah, but how does
else?
he get food?
If he never puts clothes on. Which he does have a shirt, though.
Where was he going?
He does say, I have clothes that you can borrow.
Where was he going in the Jeep?
He was coming home from jail. He was handing out stuff at the strip mall.
And he was
Remember?
naked.
Oh, strip mall. And she's like, nope, doesn't mean anything, Mr. Monk. That's what they're called.
Huh.
So, yeah, he was handing out flyers at the strip mall.
Interesting.
I think trying to save his nude beach.
I have my worst plot hole. It makes me angry. How is Natalie even a nudist? It doesn't... What about Julie? She said like 4 years ago. Where was Julie during all this nudeness?
Oh, that's a good one. Where is sweet, innocent Julie?
I know.
During her mother's
Poor
escapades.
Emmy. Exactly. Well, I mean...
That's a good one.
Even if Mitch was alive then Mitch would probably be... She went on her own little field trip to Europe. Yeah, you're not sliding past us today, Natalie. We're really... I'm angry at you. I trusted you with my side.
Aren't you lucky that our Natalie episode before this?
I would have been...
I'm like, naked Natalie.
I would have been Team Sharona. How about that, Natalie? I'm just kidding. Team Natalie all the way.
Okay, so naked hugs? Really?
That's not a thing.
What?
Like, okay, if you're gonna be nude and you know that's not like socially like normal, why would you try and force nudity.
Why would you force your nude body on
He's obviously uncomfortable. So why would you even attempt? He'd be, oh, come on, give me a hug.
Like, would he have given Natalie a hug?
Yeah, no.
No, he wouldn't.
And then that
have.
joke would have been wrong and dirty.
So why would you do that? Again, if you're a nudist, just give us a call. Like, not a voice, like a video call. Just a regular
video.
old voicemail.
Not a FaceTime, please.
Yeah, don't FaceTime us. Please.
You're like, I have to prove that I'm truly a nudist. This is my van. This is my closet. As you can see, nothing.
Okay, so just seriously.
What if we're just assuming everything wrong about, like, nudist culture?
I feel like we are. Because
they're like, yeah, no, we don't own any clothes. we all are mean.
We go into grocery shops naked.
Yeah, what if it's, like, completely, like, normal in some countries?
We just have never seen it.
Exactly.
But seriously, my question, though, is, nudists, do you, like, okay, bye, I'll see you later, and give each other hugs?
No.
Goodbye?
High five. Fist bump. What are nudists doing in quarantine? How you holding up, nudists?
They're like, finally, I never have to put clothes on again. They're so happy. Okay, my last thing is, at the beginning, or towards the beginning of the episode, Stottlemyre calls Monk out for being afraid of clouds and round things. Mm-hmm. And Monk is like, wait, hang on, not afraid of round things. Mm-hmm. So he is afraid of clouds, right?
Why is he afraid of... Clouds are the best.
Well, I mean, technically they do bring, like, hail, tornadoes, flash floods and stuff. So they're not all, like, not like white fluffy clouds.
I guess.
You could be afraid of clouds.
I mean, he could have been a little bit more specific, like storm clouds. Kandyce, this is unofficial. And if we don't do this, then you're completely cutting this part out. But... we're making cloud bread, and next week on the podcast we're eating it, and it's pretty easy.
Cloud bread?
Cloud bread. That's gonna be our snack.
Is that really what it's called?
Yeah, I'll show you a little picture of it. It's bread, but it's like a cloud. We're gonna eat it, and then that's gonna be our
Looks
junk.
Like angel food cake, but
yeah. So it's fancy junk. Fancy fancy junk for a good episode.
I feel like that's a good name for a nudist.
Fancy junk. Oh no!
This is going way too far, guys. Okay.
Fancy junk.
Okay, wait. I didn't even finish what I was saying about the clouds.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says that he's afraid of clouds, not round things, but clouds. He confirms he is afraid of. Uh-huh. And then at the end of the episode, when the nudist comes up to him, Monk is looking up, and he's like, "Let's look at that cloud up there. Look at the cloud. Do you see the cloud? It's a nice cloud." And then he goes to hug him, and Monk is looking at the cloud. So he's either not afraid of clouds, which they said that he was like 10 minutes ago, or clouds is lower on the list than naked people. Are. So then there's that. Okay, then also... Then also he's afraid of water, the ocean... And then he just walks right into it.
At the end.
So again, that's either a plot hole or naked people is so much higher, or hugs from naked people is so much higher on the list, even though he's over naked people.
That's...
Like what? Right. That's
big
a good one, right?
That's good.
Okay. I'm done with plot holes then.
How crazy was Monk this episode? Plus crazy moments. We're getting better at that.
All right, the first one, Monk has sand shoes. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy. Natalie doesn't even know what they are. That's so crazy.
Monk kind of wants the guy to be guilty, which, I don't know, Monk's losing it. I don't...
Yeah, he accuses Singer, and when he's talking to Magnary, he says, that's what they do. They hit people with microphones.
So basically, Natalie tells one of the cops on the scene, XYZ... examine your zipper, right? And Monk's like, what does XYZ mean? She's like, examine your zipper. And so whenever the naked nudist guy comes out, he's like, XYZ.
XYZ. Yeah, and then he insists, right before that, that the nudist put on a shirt and has no clue that he's completely naked. But I thought it was a little crazy. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to insist. They're at the beach.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't even know it's a nude beach. They're at a regular beach, and he's asking the guy to put a shirt on.
Exactly. After he sees the nudist guy's, fancy junk.
Schmagiggy.
Schmagiggy. He just stares straight into the sun, and Natalie's like, Mr. Monkey, don't do that. You're gonna go blind. He's like, I know. So good.
Yeah, and then I kind of mentioned it already just now, but whenever he gets into Singer's face and he's like, get out of my face, and he's like, I know that trick. If I take a step back, I see everything and the whole schmagiggy.
Okay, so Monk is trying to prove, or quote-unquote prove, that the nudist guy did the entire thing. So he goes into the jail, which the nudist guy was in the entire night, so there's no way he could have done it. And Monk is trying to speculate ways on which the guy could have gotten out. And so he's like, oh, that apple in the corner, he could have used the core. He could have carved it with his teeth to create a key to open the door.
Yeah, he hardened the apple core in a kiln, sharpened it, and then picked the lock. Yeah, and then also they're like, no, that's not possible. And he's like, well, he just slithered through the bars. And they're like, how did he slither through the bars? And he's like, they're double jointed. They're all double jointed. And I think they secrete this oil, makes them all slippery.
So Monk raids their little nudist fridge with the seedless grapes.
And the skinless chicken.
Skinless chicken.
The fact that he breaks into the trailer at all.
Yeah. Monk remembers his own birth.
Oh, he says that he goes to Bishop Park. He wants Natalie to be proud of him. He's like, I went to Bishop Park and I stared the naked man statue down right in the face. And Natalie's like, oh, that's a woman. And he's like, okay, well, I glanced at it.
After the naked cloud hug, he just straight up walks into the ocean, which is very plot holy on many levels, but still very crazy.
Yeah, so I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, we didn't do out of 10 what?
Out of 10 what? We're did we do that last episode? I don't know why, but whenever I was writing my notes, I did not remember out of 10 what.
Yeah.
Okay, so out of 10 empty closets, he was a 5 out of 10. And the reason being is, he was very crazy, but, regular people would have been, like, weirded out by the stuff he was weirded out by. Like me and you.
Okay, I saw it differently. I like that perspective, though. Okay, I'm going out of 10 Randy Magnapods.
I should have done out of 10 schmagigis.
I almost did out of 10 Apple Corkies.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, okay, so out of 10 Randy Magnapods, I gave him a 9.5.
Really?
Yeah, 9.5.
Reasoning?
Because
he just was
to me the whole episode was total garbage strike vibes.
Yeah.
And how he was willing to accuse an innocent man of murder because of his aversions or phobias or whatever you call it, and the fact that his deep-rooted issue was that he remembers his own birth and how petrified he was from it. And that in itself is pretty dang crazy. So I gave him, it's like 9 Randy Magnapods, and then one of them is broken because they're Magnapods and they break. Mm-hmm. And so there's the other half, So there's 9.5, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's all we have for that. My bad. Rate this episode. I would like to go first.
Okay.
So, you like to rate the episode, and then you like to do your little reason why. So, I'm rating it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
And my explanation is why. Why did they create this episode? All I had was just why, but now I feel like I know why they created it. It was because those 2 random dudes who did this episode, they didn't have a strong grasp on the monk verse. But it wasn't terrible. It's not like they were like completely, they were like, Trudy's alive and da-da-da.
Yeah.
They could have totally just wrecked havoc.
That's very true.
At least they didn't.
Oh, I would be interested to know what that is why they do that. Why they get random people to write or direct or produce.
Like, yeah, just...
Like, is it to give someone a chance?
They're like...
To do something?
They're like, we're bored.
Yeah, or something. Like, I just really don't know. I don't really know what that is. Like, what if one day we were just like, yeah, we don't want to do the podcast today, so we're going to...
Chamber.
So we're going to get... But Lindsay listens to our show, so that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Exactly.
If we were like, hey, Toby... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Toby does not listen.
Toby does not listen.
Toby's passed out on the couch right now.
And he's like,
he's completely wasted.
LeBron James.
Matrian Unk.
Would you say Mr. Mank? This is Mr. Mank. Toby... I loved that joke.
Stupid. I don't like Toby. We should fire him.
I know, but then sometimes he does put up the gear, and it is nice.
It is nice.
That's really nice.
It's a hit or miss with Toby. Yeah.
All right.
We're already at the end again.
I haven't even said mine.
All right, guys. That's the end of the episode. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Okay, just do your thing.
Okay.
Just hurry up.
Okay. So... Not one that I particularly like to rewatch, but it's not terrible, right? The X-ray tech thing was interesting. Like, I thought it was an interesting twist, which Angela Kinsey did help a lot with that, in my opinion. Maybe if it was a different person that we didn't know, it would have, been a little bit different. But I did like the X-ray part of it. Not terrible. But most of the focus, I think, was on the naked man, which, again, wasn't terrible, just not my favorite. So I'm going with a 10.6.
Oh, so not too far from mine.
Yeah.
Mine being a 5 out of 10. And you're being a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. So
it was not amazing. Not as good as this next episode. Coming next week.
Ooh. All right.
Mr. Mank and
the
naked girlfriend. It's exclusive. The title's exclusive to us. They haven't released it yet, so we can't give you any spoilers.
We're just a couple writers that have never seen the show. just gonna write our own episodes here.
We're oh geez, what does this come to, Kandyce? I accidentally just opened Duolingo on my phone. What is happening?
Limon pepino.
Teach me how to say lime cucumber.
Teach me how to make it taste better. All right, guys. That is it for Mr. Monk and the Naked Man.
Earlier, you were like, oh, I can't eat an oatmeal cream pie without, like, water or something. And I failed. I could not eat it without water.
Yeah.
I probably could have done it if the limon pepino tasted a little better, but it smells and tastes like they just shoved a cucumber and a lime and shook it up really fast. It's not good.
Sounds terrible.
I do not recommend.
All right. That is enough of our limon pepino.
Next week, instead of limon pepino, you're getting cloud bread and a crazy girlfriend. We'll see you next time. Audrey, just end the thing. Okay, bye everyone. Love you.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Junk Monk Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so please give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, follow us at Junk Monk Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
If you want to know more about Kandyce, she's at Hardens and Hardhats on Instagram. And if you want to know more about me, Noah L., subscribe to my vlog, Noah Hernandez, on YouTube. Also, you can leave us a voicemail at 323-366-0477 with your questions, comments, or just to show us some love.
Don't forget to catch up on Monk with Amazon Prime Video, and of course, subscribe to our show.
You'll thank me later.